What's happening?
Hey there.
What's going on?
Good to see you. Actually, Sergey asked me to ask you something.
Something?
Yeah, like this for a beer that you worked on, you had like a one-page.
No. Which You need something?
Так, все работает, да? Работает?
Get a chair. I don't have to be.
Прям даже уже... А, ты сейчас. Дальше. Ага. Нет. Да, о чем тогда? Че?
Let's check the volume because I have some.
Не, зачем?
I have some videos. Okay, the volume and I need like a. Yeah.
Марко.
Let's try it before we kill somebody with the cell.
Да, видишь, показывает. Нет, я имею в виду...
No, thanks, I'm okay.
Ты никогда не узнаешь.
Не хочу тут сдавать.
Вася, ничего, тебя унижают?
Мы это сделали?
Нет, не они. Там должен быть аудио один. С кем-то он дальше.
Да, у нее такой.
Не,
Она такая, можно здесь постоять? Поставь, как за третью кнопку не большую. Третью большую кнопку.
Слева.
Чудо, спасибо.
Yeah, we'll start with that.
Включаем звук. Все. Так, ну что, у нас сегодня последняя трансляция этого модуля. Марко.
Okay, guys. So it's okay English, of course. I hope, because otherwise I'm fast. And I just want to understand who are you in terms of what type of class is this? Is this a class of people who want to go into creativity, into planning, into what?
We have a mixture of three
Okay.
courses: creativity, strategy, and integrated marketing.
Okay, so it's very
we're
wide.
working as a team, yes.
Okay.
We're working as a team.
All right, guys. So hello to everyone. First of all, I'm very happy to be here because I used to work in this office. So for me, it's like a very nostalgic moment to see my ex-colleagues. And this was the agency where I worked at first when I arrived to Russia. So it's also a great memory in terms of arriving here. And I just want to spend 5 minutes to tell you a bit about me, because you see me, you don't know who I am, where I come from. So as you can tell from my accent, I'm Italian. My name is Marco Cremona, and I work already in the advertising business for more than 20 years, unfortunately, as you can see from my gray hair. And I've had the luxury of working in many different markets, because being born in Italy, as you probably know, Italy is kind of lagging behind in terms of creative quality, just as much as Russia is. And so my first impulse was to try and move away. So I worked in Brazil for 3 years. I worked in the States for a couple of years, and then I arrived here in Moscow 3 years ago. At first at McCann. Now I'm at YNR. I just want to share with you a couple of ads that I did, because at least you can understand a bit more about me. They're both erotic ads. I don't know why, but it's just
Explain later.
exactly. So. The first one that I want to share is a print campaign for Durex lubricants. And usually, when you talk about lubricants, especially if you're creative, the first direction that you take is to try and be somehow a little bit shocking or vulgar, and you have all these strange metaphors of what a dick and a vagina look like. But no, when we had this brief, we tried to find a way to be a little bit more lateral, as I say, not just straightforward, but a little more sophisticated. So we just sat down and we thought about the line at first, and in the end, lubricants are something that allow you to get in anywhere. This is the concept that we isolated. And starting from this little line, we thought of a visual way to convey this idea. And so we have this image of a biker who was able to get into a very elegant Rotary Club party. And this, I did it actually while at McCann, although it was done in Milan, and it was one of the most recent things that I'm proud of. And then I want to share with you the case history that we did last year for, as you heard, for this Tochka G, which is an erotic museum. We did it at YNR, and it was another reason for me to be proud, because it was the first time that this agency won a Lion here in Russia. So it was kind of cool. Let's have a look.
Tochka G is the biggest erotic art museum in Russia. The problem is that it had almost no visitors because Russian people do not associate eroticism with art. To establish this association, we focused on museum goers and decided to talk to them through a channel and a language they're very familiar with. And we created the Audio Guide Project. We picked a work of art in the permanent collection of the famous Pushkin Museum and changed the boring description into something more sensual and fun. For 1 week, we gave out to adult museum goers 3 audio guides. Most of the descriptions were the same, but once they got to number 806, they were in for a surprise. We used spyglasses with a camera to capture people's reactions, since shooting inside the museum is forbidden. And here's what happened.
This painting could well be renamed The Nympho and the Virgin. In fact, Van Dyck depicts Frances on the left as a malicious nymphomaniac with a sexy curvy body trying to educate the chaste heaven down to Avigny. Her hand is stroking the stem of a flower, and the intention is to initiate the pure time to the secrets of erotic mastery. Catherine just finished to touch herself, and the typical post-orgasmic vacant look is there to testify to it. This exhibition is excellent, but if you want something sexier, visit Tochka G, the Museum of Erotic Art on 15 Novy Arbat Street.
The results exceeded our expectations, turning Tochka G into one of the most popular attractions on social media, blogs, newspapers, and online press.
Это абсолютный успех, потому что те, кто слышат, им, во-первых, нравится, во-вторых, они приходят к нам, говорят, потому что они слышали эту рекламу, она им понравилась, и мы получаем приятно. 100% успех, 100% точно попадание.
Okay, so this was just to show you a little flavor of what I do and what is the work that I like, so that you can at least have a better idea of me. And now let's move on to the subject that I want to share with you today, which is 5 reasons to be glocal. Okay. I mean, I'm sure this is a word that you already heard before. It's a mixture of global and local. And I think in this country, as well as in Italy, more than ever, we do need to be able to be both local and global. What does it mean, and why do we need to do so? The first reason why we need to do this is because we are lagging behind. I always like to create the association between Russia and Italy, because I don't want to sound like the one who is pontificating, because we are coming from a country where, unfortunately, there is no culture of advertising. There is no culture for creativity. The mainstream people are not even ready to receive messages that are more sophisticated than the simple ones that we see on TV. So it's a very tough place to try and succeed. Everything plays against us. this is why it's very important to look out of our country and to learn from the people who succeed, who are pioneering in this business. And in order to do so, I mean, I'm sure that you all speak English fairly well, but I've met many creatives. I'm talking mostly about creatives, sorry guys, but it's because I am one of them and that's my life experience. Many creatives that I meet don't speak English. And this is a very big problem. It's a big problem because not speaking English is like wanting to learn how to play the piano without learning the notes. I mean, advertising is an English-speaking business. And so either we learn how to speak, we learn how to understand even the culture that, that they have, or we will never catch up. It might look like something stupid, but if we don't know the language, we can't study. We can't go on the sites of Cannes, of Archive, of Heads of the World, and the likes, and understand what goes on in the world. And if we don't do this, we run two risks. The first one is the risk of talking to people and not even knowing what is cool today in the world. But the second, which is the most the worst of the two risks, is that we produce ideas that have already been made. And this is very bad. When, just to tell you, when a candidate comes to me interviewing and he has a portfolio, and in the portfolio he has some pieces that have already been made, I mean, you right away understand that there's something wrong with the guy. And so this aspect of the language is crucial. The second aspect that I would like to consider is the fact that advertising agencies are really a limitation to your potential. They're not a booster to your potential. Now, I assume that the fact that you are all here studying to get into the advertising world means that you are considering starting your professional experience in an advertising agency. And I am here to discourage this idea, because the advertising agency, as we have it even today, is something that was created 78 years ago by this guy. His name is Bill Bernbach, and he was responsible for this revolutionary idea of, for the first time, putting together in one room a copywriter and an art director. Before his time, copywriters used to be, let's say, the gods of the creation, and they would only hand a paper with a headline and something scribbled to the art directors, and they would just do it and it would be aired. So this beautiful dynamic duo of copy and art is something that was created 60, 70 years ago. This means that by definition, the structure that we are working in, not only you guys at McCann, but we at YNR, everybody in ad agencies works in obsolete structures. Structures that were created when we had only 3 media channels, maybe even 2, because in the early 40s TV wasn't there yet. But these are structures made for 3 media channels, and these are structures that compete with companies like you know, the Facebooks, the Googles, speaking about Russia, the Yandexes, the Mail.ru, companies that have 10, 15 years of age, companies that were born in the digital era, just like most of you. So just as much as for me, it's very tough to learn about the digital world, the integrated media, for you, it's something that you don't even have to learn because you were born in this era, so it's natural for you. And this is the same difference that we have with ad agencies and the companies that I named. So if I had a son and he wanted to be working in communication, the first thing I would say is forget about agencies and try to get into these companies. You are lucky in Russia because not only you have the Facebook and the Google, you have also the Contacti, the Mail.ru, and the Yandex. You have a very broad spectrum of opportunities. And the other important aspect, especially if you are thinking about something creative, is that our job is very psychological. Is a job that needs a nice environment to produce good ideas. And the best environment to produce good ideas is a quiet, peaceful one, where you don't have negative energy. And nowadays, unfortunately, most ad agencies have either a stagnant situation where the numbers don't match, and the networks always ask for more, versus companies like, I don't know, I've been to mail.ru last week because we wanted to present an idea, and the moment you enter these companies, you have a beautiful, uplifting feeling of being in front of people that try to enjoy life, that don't think about numbers too much because they're so rich that they don't care. So it's really a different set of mind. Maybe things will change. I mean, ad agencies have tried to catch up with this fact of being obsolete in the last 10 years, but they do it in a way that's wrong, because they try to do it with a silos approach. So basically, we don't have a digital company in our agency. Let's buy one, and we have our digital unit. We don't have a web design company. Let's buy one, and we put it in our agency. So you end up having all these little silos, these cells that are separated. And as long as the P&L, which is the final number that everybody works for, basically how much profit you make, as long as these P&Ls are not unified, they will never find a way to work together. Because if I know that my numbers are in competition with your numbers, I'm actually going to try to steal your clients. So if I am a digital agency working for YNR, I will try to propose to my clients to do some ATL, some print maybe, but I can do it myself. We don't need to go to YNR. We do it here. And vice versa. If I am at YNR, I say we can do something digital without using our digital unit. So it's an awkward set of problems. Moreover, as you probably heard, the creative people have a tendency to have an inflated ego. They think that they are the best. And this is a big problem in terms of having the humble approach that we should have to the digital era, of saying we don't know anything about it, we need to stop and learn how to use these tools. Because until yesterday, when I started working, we had only print, TV, and radio. So basically, I like to think of it as 3 pencils to make a drawing. Nowadays, we have 20 pencils, so it's actually good because we have different colors, but we need to learn how to use them because we've never done it before. And many people are not ready to learn. The other thing that happens is that while we don't have the technology and we try to learn, but we have the capacity of creating ideas, these companies like Facebook and Google, they don't have the capacity to think of ideas yet, but they have perfect knowledge of the technology because they are the ones who introduce it. So what they're doing now is they are trying to come up with ideas that support their technology, while we are trying to understand the technology to sell our ideas in different channels. So it's a kind of a strange fight, but if I have to choose, I would rather be on their side, because they are shaping what the world is, while we are just trying to catch up and meet the expectations of the general public. Okay. So don't apply for jobs in advertising agencies. The other thing is, the other important aspect about having to be local is that a key word in our job is curiosity. If you are not curious, this is not the right job for you. Because, once again, we live in an era in which the advancement in technology is higher than our capability to learn. So basically, we are always catching up. You know, every day there are new apps, new ways of communicating. So if we don't play this game of trying to be like little kids and trying to be curious about everything, we are destined again to lose our advantage of being young in your case, because we don't keep up to date. I highlighted here 3 trends that are very contemporary and that not many people know about, just as an example of what it means to be curious. So, for example, this wearable technology trend is something that, I don't know, how many of you have a job on, or nobody has a job on? Okay, see, so this job on is this bracelet that basically keeps track of how many steps you take during the day and how many hours you sleep, and it helps you to regulate your life. And I've seen people using it, and it's pretty cool because if you one day stay home and don't walk, you feel kind of guilty, so you end up even doing circles at home because you want to see the steps going up. And this is just one example of a wearable technology, but we are clearly in this era, and from the Nike Plus to I've seen even strange devices, like there is one which is a tall belt that you put around you and is for men, and whenever a woman who is pregnant has a movement inside her belly of the baby, you have the same movement in your belly. I mean, it's a way to try and make you feel how it is to be pregnant. Pretty scary or creepy in a way, but that's just another example of a wearable technology. And I mean, if you read a little bit about it, now it's all becoming a question of making the technology not just wearable, but craveable, because the problem with these technologies is that many of them, I like the design of the Jawbone, but many of them look kind of ugly. So now the trend is to try and make them really look good, turning them into something that people actually want to wear. So I wouldn't be surprised if soon we will have the Dior bracelet with the same Jawbone purposes, or stuff that just looks good. Connected ecosystems. Again, this is all stuff that I learned about a month ago, because there is this South by Southwest meeting, which is a meeting that takes place in Texas, where it's kind of like a Cannes advertising, but done for technology. So it's where all the latest technology are presented, and they were making sort of a summary of the three main subjects that were discussed, and these were the three subjects. Connected ecosystem is another very interesting technology. Basically, it's what allows you to coordinate all your home apparels and electronics from one phone. It's a technology that's so trendy that companies like Google just bought the most advanced companies that do home ecosystems. So basically, in 1 year, it could be that from our phone we'll be able to change the temperature of our oven, to start the washing machine, and so on, which is another very interesting trend. And the third one, 3D printers, is the one that I like the least, because I think that it's about printing out objects, shoes, and products of all sorts. I don't like it because for me it's just like a machine that creates objects. What makes it really cool is this 3D printer naming that makes you think that you can print out things. The only nice application of this technology that I've seen is with the prosthesis, like artificial limbs. So in this case, I can really understand how beautiful it is, because you can print out your missing limb and use it every day at considerably lower cost than just buying one. The reason why these trends are important is because if you have to sit down and think of ideas for any product, if you have this in mind, I don't know, if you have to think about something that's related to your home, maybe you keep in mind the fact that there is this ecosystem trend, and you can come up with ideas that somehow address it. Wearable technology the same, 3D printers the same. So curiosity, which is very much related with being local, is another fundamental thing for you to use. And being curious means also not being afraid of admitting that you don't know things. All of us found ourselves in situations in which we didn't ask questions because we were afraid to look stupid in the face of the person that we had in front. It happened to me many times. It's a human behavior, but it's a human behavior that comes from our education and that needs to be forgotten. There are many things in our education that need to be forgotten. One of them is the fact that our education system teaches us not to be wrong. Basically, being wrong is something to be ashamed of, and this is, of course, something that we need to forget in this business, because all the best ideas that were created come from people who were not afraid of being wrong and dared to do something that was not done before. Worldliness is the gift of our time. I don't know, as Russians born in this time, I think you are pretty lucky, because it's better to be born now than 20 years ago. But for example, me, I was born in a very bad time in history, because I was born in a time where the golden years of advertising have already finished. The times of the economical crisis, I don't even remember how many I had to live through, of the worst terrorist attacks of all times. Things are pretty tough. One time, my dad used to work in advertising. He became rich with advertising. Nowadays, becoming rich with advertising is almost impossible. So it's not a very fortunate time to live. The only great quality that I really love about living in these times is the worldliness. We can move from one country to the other in a matter of hours. Taking an airplane is like taking a bus nowadays. With the internet, we can really be everywhere, anytime. So I think we should definitely try to take advantage of this fact. And this is the last point is a little bit more sophisticated, so I will talk a little bit more about it. Oscillating is more important than mainstreaming. What does it mean? In life, in general, if you are used, if you take two opposites, I put some here, mental job, physical job, being focused or being distracted, being conservative or innovative, leader or follower, local or global. If between two opposites, your position as a person, as a behavior, is mainstream, meaning that you are that line straight in the middle, it means that you are comfortable and at ease only when you are in that line. Whenever you go close to one of the two extremes, you don't feel comfortable anymore, and you tend to want to go back to the mainstream. If you are capable of leading a life that goes like that wave, which means that you are capable and at ease and comfortable in both the extremes, then that's exactly the position you have to be in order to create the best stuff that was ever done. Let's take some examples. Our job. My job is totally 100% mental. I get paid for sitting in a room at a desk and thinking of ideas. Nobody expects that at the end of the day I give them a product that I created. I'm very much at ease in the mental type of job. What I'm terrible at is in the physical jobs. For example, when I have to assemble an IKEA furniture, I'm really desperate and it takes hours to assemble the easiest of things. So, for example, I want, and sometimes I do, to actually exercise at assembling IKEA furniture. When my girlfriend comes home with some furniture, I'm actually happy because I can exercise at something that I'm not very good at. When a light bulb breaks or something breaks in the house, I really have panic attacks because I don't know how to act. So what I'm saying is that I'm very much at ease in the mental, but very little at ease in the physical realm of working. If you are the same, I suggest you take some time to create something physical. Like, why don't we build a chair today? And this will put you at ease with that other extreme, and this will allow you to be, in every situation in life, in these two aspects, confident. Focused or distracted. In our job, when you have to create, sometimes you have moments that you're in the office, that you're looking at the computer, you're very focused. But again, if you're only capable of feeling at ease in that part of the spectrum, it means that you don't allow yourself to be creative when you're distracted. While many of the ideas that people have come when they're, taking a shower or watching a movie. So it's important to feel how you are. Maybe you feel that you're very good when it's a distracting time and you're very bad at focusing. So you should train at the part of the spectrum where you feel less confident. One weakness that I have, for example, is that I'm very bad when it comes to fighting. When the situation gets out of control and I need to fight with somebody, I don't know why, but I start breathing in a different way. I start feeling, almost like I'm lack of breath. I feel the muscles of my face that takes, reactions that usually I don't have. So I'm very weak in that aspect. So when I can, I try. When I know that there is a fight coming with a colleague, for example, I try to say, okay, now I want to try and keep it under control, because when it comes to being calm and meditating, I'm pretty good. But when it's about fighting, I'm not as good. So this is an area.
You're not the part of the fight club.
No, not yet, not yet. Conservative and innovative. Once again, it's nice to have some basis to start with, but it's beautiful also to be innovative, to know what goes on, and to be ready to change. This terrible feeling that you get when you get a new phone and you have to learn how to use it, and you don't want to, you want to keep the old one. This is something that we have to defeat. Leader and follower. When we create, nowadays, it's all about teams. But when you are in a team, the dynamics are very important, because you have to develop the ability to sometimes step up and lead the process, but also the ability to sometimes step down and work on a more horizontal basis. So this is also something very important to train. The biggest problem that creatives have in general is that because of their ego, when they work in groups, they tend to think that their idea is better than anyone else's, and they're kind of blinded by this reputation of themselves, and they don't see in a more objective way. So if this is the case with you, the exercise you should make is try to work in teams and try to step down and put yourself on the same position as everybody else. It's actually a fruitful attitude, because what this allows is it allows you to be part of ideas even when they're not yours, which doesn't happen if you're very focused on your own ideas, because if somebody else comes up with an idea, you're going to attack that idea, and even if the team likes it, you're going to be kind of still on your position, and this will mean that you will not participate in the development of the idea. And also, once again, it's an exercise that helps you to be at ease in every part of the spectrum. And the less local and global, of course, is crucial. I want to share with you a couple of examples of work that we've done where I think we were able to mix this local aspect with the global one. Let's have a look. The first example that I want to share is now this is just something funny that we did for our client Baltica beer, and it's about English, so I want to share it with you because of that. You know that I don't know if you know, but there is a beer called Number 7 produced by Baltica, which is the most exported Russian beer ever. And so they, you know it from childhood. You used to drink it when you were a baby. Okay. And then,
I think the audience was drinking it from.
Okay. I actually tried it. It's not my favorite beer. It's very light. But anyway, they asked us to come up with this idea about international aspect.
Try number 9.
Number 9 is better. All right, I will.
It's not that light.
So we
right after you finish the lecture.
Yeah. So what are maybe let's have a look at the case history first.
In order to celebrate Russia's most exported beer ever, Baltica thought the time has come to be more international. Truth is, this nation is still not so worldly, and Russians don't enjoy English very much. But they do love to drink. Keeping all this in mind, we created the Free Beer Challenge. It's a machine that gives out free beer. All you have to do is ask for it in English. But beware, you'll get exactly what you asked for. And thanks to Education First Language School, if your pronunciation is not perfect, you'll get a 15% discount on your course abroad. In order to check the pronunciation, we created a last generation voice recognition software. We named it Charles.
I want
B. Beard.
yeah. Me. There. E.
Can you repeat, please?
Yeah.
А по-русски не говорите вообще? Плюс прекрасно.
Beer. The beer for me.
Please, please.
Lovely bag.
Change to beer. Beer.
People talked about us on social media.
Let's jump to the last part of the celebrations.
Очень понравилась эта идея, мы даже не ожидали, что будет такой интерес наших потребителей к этим выделенным аппаратам.
Okay, so this was just an example of a local insight, which is that it's true, just like in Italy. I read these statistics. It was very strange. Like 7-8% of Russians only speak English. I don't know if it's that little, but still, it's a language that we don't enjoy very much. And so this is a local insight. And what's global in this idea is the idea itself, because this way of communicating that's somehow unconventional, vending machines, I'm sure you have in mind many examples of vending machines used as a media channel, especially from Coke. I mean, it's a very modern way of trying and engage the community. So in this sense, we were able to put together two pieces that were coming, one from the global approach, because I don't have any recall of Russian campaigns that use vending machines, for example. So this is something that, if you may, we learned from abroad, and at the same time we use the Russian insight. Another couple of projects. This one, the next one I want to share is a project we've done for a client we have in Azerbaijan. It's called NAR Mobile, and it's a phone company. We studied their culture a bit because we don't know much about it, and we found out that this is the country in the world with the highest number of thalassemic births. Who knows what thalassemia is? I myself didn't know it before working on this. Anybody?
No.
Okay, it's a disease. I thought, because I studied Greek in school, so thalassa means sea, so I thought it was a disease related to the sea somehow. Instead, it's actually a disease that comes when two people from the same family give birth to a child. Basically, in Azerbaijan, because of these little villages they have, it's a real problem. I mean, they tend to make kids with family members. So, I don't know, somebody, it's like if I would marry my cousin and have a kid with her, this kid would have this disease. And this disease, it's a disorder that's very tough to cure, and that requires constant blood transfusion. And of course, there are never enough donors, and when we found out this problem, this social problem about the country, we thought that it would be something very cool if we had an idea that would help somehow to solve it or to alleviate it. And so we started from this local insight once again, and we tried to come up with an idea that's kind of global in terms of execution, something that has not been done before, and that was not the usual print campaign or TV campaign, but something more than that. Let's have a look. We put together this case history that explains the project. Let's have a look at it because it's self-explanatory.
Azerbaijan has the highest number of thalassemic births in the world. Children with this disorder need regular blood transfusions. Unfortunately, there are never enough donors. Now Mobile, a telecom operator in the country, decided to help. Introducing the Donor Cable Project. We created and patented an innovative cable which allows battery life to be donated from one phone to another. It's simple, just connect and donate. The message reads, donate energy to save the phone and donate blood to save a life. The bracelet is extremely easy to use and is part of a fully integrated campaign. There is even an app that helps to find battery donors around you. We paired up with the National Blood Donation Center, and for a month we distributed free bracelets to anyone who purchased an Android phone in the NAS stores around the country. Blood donation bands were strategically placed out of the stores so that anyone could donate right after being reminded of the problem. TV, press, radio, blogs, social media, the entire country talked about our initiative.
Azerbaycan'da don verenlere sahip gittikçe arttı.
Don vermenin ehemmiyetine dikkat çekin.
And celebrities, bloggers, and even politicians spontaneously became our best supporters. On Facebook, our page became 10 times more popular than that of any other thalassaemic organization in the world.
Today, as we launch this project with these cables, we are excited not only as a company, but frankly, personally, I'm very excited to be a part of this initiative.
Я выражаю огромную благодарность компании «Этом» за продвижение такого замечательного проекта.
And what is more important, we improved the regular donation flow dramatically.
Okay, so another example of what I think is the right mix of local insight and global ideas. And then the last project that I want to talk to you about.
Is it the project that you want to send to Cannes?
Yeah, all these projects that you're seeing have already. Fortunately, the deadline for Cannes was last Friday, so we had to finish everything. So these projects, both Baltica, this one and the next one, are going to Cannes, yes. This next one, I think it will be very interesting for you, and it's very much, once again, based on a local insight. Many times I ask to my creatives, guys, come up with some ideas that are relevant for Russians today, because there are so many problems in Russia that other countries don't have, that it's kind of easy to come up with something interesting in order to be able to help. Instead of coming up with the usual don't drink and drive campaign, why don't you try to find first a local insight that's more interesting? Because if you have a don't drink and drive campaign, cynically you will compete against another 100 of them. If you have a campaign about, for example, recycling, only here and in a few other countries in the world there's no recycling. So it could be that it's standing out more than the average ideas. I learned about some interesting problems that we have here. I mean, one is the recycling. Another one is, for example, that if you are handicapped, you better stay at home, because if you go out here, either you end up in a hole or in a car accident. It's not a very handicap-friendly environment. So this is something else that we were thinking about in trying to help. Another local problem is, for example, the fact that they destroy buildings that are historical, and I think that something could be done at least to try and raise awareness around some of these buildings in order to prevent this. And one other thing that came up while we were talking with the creatives is about adoption. If two parents want to adopt a kid in Russia, apart from very rare cases, there is the site that we are working with who created some interviews with the kids. If not, the only way to have access to kids, to see the kids, is through an online archive, where basically there is one picture, oftentimes, as you will see, very sloppy picture, and one line of description. So, of course, this is something that doesn't give justice to these kids, and we're talking about more than 100,000 kids who are orphans in Russia. So it's a big, big community. And by the way, while I was studying this problem, I also found out something that I really hate about this country. I really hate it, which is that there is a very high percentage of men who have a kid and then simply abandon their families. They just walk away from their families, and the women, many women, accept it as something perfectly normal. And this is, for me, something that should not be acceptable. I mean, for me, doing something like this is worse than killing somebody. So I find it very, very strange that it's sort of an accepted habit. Anyway, so we thought about this problem. What we did is we got in touch with this foundation called changeonelife.ru. Maybe you heard about it. And we tried to involve some directors into the project and to ask them to spend some time in the orphanages to get to know the kids, to choose one, you know, that chemistry-wise they felt good about, and then to learn a bit more about who these kids are, and then to shoot a short movie about these kids and to put it on this site so that potential parents could simply log on and watch the movies and understand more about these kids. Let's have a look at the case history, and then I would like even to share with you 2 or 3 of these little films because I think they're pretty interesting. Here it is.
I'm one of the 105,000 orphans in Russia. Imagine you want to adopt one of us. Blue eyes or dark. From the north or from the south. You just want to find somebody to love. But the only way is through the online National Archive, where we are presented with a bad picture and a short and cold description. And there's one more problem. Whilst for newborns and little girls, it is easier to be adopted. For us boys over 7 years of age, there's little hope left. This isn't fair, right? That's why Movies That Change Lives was born. Thanks to the guys at Change One Life Foundation, 10 of the best Russian directors came to spend time with us. Once we became friends, they wrote and shot short movies where we were shown in such cool ways. These 10 movies were played all over Russia. And the whole country talked about us.
Сегодня в московских кинотеатрах стартует проект «Фильмы, которые меняют жизнь».
Some of the movie stars have already been approached for adoption, and they'll hopefully meet their new families soon.
Сегодня приезжал возможный родитель, Сережа, мальчик Сережа, который там был показан. Вот результат работы уже вашим лицом.
2 года мы пытались заключить соглашение с одним из регионов, и после публикации в российской газете информации о нашем проекте органы опеки позвонили нам сами.
And the best news is that the government is ready to collaborate in upgrading the whole National Archive.
Ваши фильмы работают.
И эти фильмы действительно меняют жизнь.
Okay, let me just now show just a couple of these movies that I think are really well done. Actually, we have time only for a couple. I wanted to show more, but we have only time.
В России 105 тысяч детей-сирот. Обычно потенциальные приемные родители видят только их фото в федеральной базе данных. Мы верим, короткие фильмы намного эффективнее помогают им найти семью.
Вначале жил человек. Он жил на земле один-одинешенек. Вокруг были одни камни. Стало ему однажды очень-очень скучно. Взял тогда человек камень и нарисовал на нем птицу. Бросил он тот камень в небо, думал, что упадет. А камень замахал, нарисовал на нем крыльями и полетел. Взял тогда человек другой камень, нарисовал на нем рыбу и бросил в море. Думал, что потонет. А камень зашевелил, нарисовал на хвостом и поплыл. Тогда человек набрал много-много других камней и принялся рисовать. Нарисовал медведя, жирана, лисицу, зайца и отнес их в лес. Камни покрыли шерсть, у них выросли лапы и когти, и все остальное. Они побежали кто куда. И сегодня есть люди, которые рисуют на камне. Одни рисуют на камне дома, другие рисуют на камне цветы, а третьи даже рисуют на камне людей. Все камни рано или поздно оживают.
Поддержите нас на changeonelife.ru.
So every director was free to do whatever they wanted. We didn't give them any script or anything.
В России 105 тысяч детей-сирот. Обычно потенциальный прием.
Spin my head till I'm too dizzy to stand. Sign me up for a course or two. 'Cause time, yeah, time it got the best of me. You were so gone, and you were so gone. So don't be a fool, I am no good for you. I chewed out your lungs, your lips and your tongue. Now I'm through. Now it's cold, drinking soft in the rain. I was warm, dressed in my underwear. We were both left to freeze in the winter. When we were practically dead. Oh, giving up, I couldn't blame you. No, and all of those songs and fights for the moon, I always gave it to you. And now that I want everything back, it's gone.
Okay, so just another example of the importance of being local, because again, this is an insight that you can develop only here in Russia, because I don't know any other country where you can have access to the kids this way. And the execution, it's a very simple idea, but still, I think it comes from exposure to international work, because these sort of ideas come more easy if you are exposed to that kind of work than if you just are exposed to the Russian environment. Okay, guys, so in 1 hour it's very tough to tell you everything that I would like to tell you, but this is live. So if you have any quick question for me, I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, I wish you the best of luck for your future.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you told us that the strategy when a creative agency, which is a leader in this group, buy another agencies like digital or social media as the units, the strategy is in general ineffective. So does it mean that in your vision of future, the agencies will develop its own digital or social media departments in-house?
I have a very pessimistic view about the ad agencies in the near future. I mean, I don't think they're going to be a leading player in communication soon, because again, it's just a structural problem. The only agencies that have been able to keep up with the times are the ones that either restaffed completely, so they fired all the people and they hired new people like you, very media neutral, or agencies that have such a creative quality that, you know, clients are ready to go over the fact that maybe they're not strong in all the media, but they can't find that level of creative output anywhere else. So, yeah. I didn't mean to ruin your evening.
Very inspiring. What's your favorite work here?
In terms of idea, the cable for me.
Prognosis and kinds.
Yeah, I like very much the cable, because I think it's never been done. It's very, for me, it's a very intelligent idea. Baltica is just fun. I don't know, it probably is the least. This one of the movies, as an idea per se, is not exceptional, because in the end we call 10 directors to shoot short movies, so it's not revolutionary. But I myself get very emotional when I watch it. So I think that it could have potentially good chances because of the emotional impact on the juries.
Our internet viewers have the same feeling.
Yeah?
So everyone is, wow.
Yeah, the cable.
Okay, guys, thanks a lot for having me, and I'm very excited for you, because you are in the most beautiful moment in your life, where you are starting to get into this grind of the job experience, and you have the luxury of being able to make mistakes. So that's fantastic. So you can start doing something, and then after 1 year realize it's not your direction and go into something else. So it's a very exciting, dynamic, alive moment, and savor it, because then later, once you're in a track, you can't get out, and so it's not as beautiful as now.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot.